We are here in Walter's Diner, and I am joined with, of course, Walter Hill, the CEO of the Wiregrass United Way. Walter, thank you so much for allowing us to be in your diner today.
Sure thing. Thanks for being here. Just so everyone knows, Walter's Diner is our house and our kitchen, and no, we're not open for business. My staff named it that years ago, and it stuck, and I have towels they put with that on it, a cutting board, a front door sign. It's been a lot of fun.
I love it, and it is already smelling delicious in here. Tell me, what do we have today? What are we whipping up?
Today we have derby pie, and we can start. I already showed you the finished product, even though we're going to make a new one. But it is, if you ask 10 people in Dothan that know me, if Walter's coming over and bringing a dessert, what's he going to bring? They'll go, well, probably derby pie. They've had other stuff if they've eaten here a lot, so we're going to whip one up, and then you get to taste the one that I baked yesterday.
I cannot wait. So what ingredients does this have?
All right, we have a cup of sugar. So that's, nice and sweet. And then 6 tablespoons of plain flour, not self-rising flour. And I'm just going to mix that really quick. And then, and I'm not a chef, I'm not a trained baker. I'm just a Southern guy that likes to cook and eat, and was single for years and had to learn to cook. And luckily my mother had taught me a lot, and 2 eggs. And so, but basically people say it's a pecan pie with chocolate chips.
Yum.
But if you love pecan pie, it's not Karo syrup, so it's totally different texture. Yes, it does have pecans and chocolate chips in it, but it's not the same texture as a pecan pie. And so then we're going to add a stick of melted butter, and this is not margarine. I know a lot of people only buy margarine, but my mother taught me splurge year round and buy real butter. So that,
sounds good.
I'm a rule follower, so my mama said buy butter, I buy butter.
Yes, buy the butter. It's worth it.
We're adding a teaspoon of vanilla, and no, I'm not dirtying up a teaspoon. Maybe a teaspoon and a half.
The more vanilla, the better, right?
Exactly. And then we're going to add a couple of pecans and half of a package of chocolate chips.
So Walter, while we're mixing up these ingredients, let's talk about the success of the Wiregrass United Way this year. What have you all accomplished?
Oh my gosh, we don't have enough time, but it's been a great year. The Wiregrass, and when I say community, I always have to preface this by saying 6 counties. That's my community, the Wiregrass. There's so many awesome, wonderful people here that want to make it the best it can be. We've had a great year. We're finishing up our campaign. We're over 95% of our goal. We have till January 31st to reach our goal. 37 health and human service agencies are going to be helped because of people's generosity.
Remind me again of that goal.
We have creative numbers every few years, so it's one of those years. 28, 28, 28, 0. So that's $2,828,280. I have to concentrate to be able to say that.
I would too, and hey, there is still plenty of time to help the Wiregrass United Way reach their goal.
99 cents of every dollar stays right here. We do pay dues to United Way worldwide, but they've raised more for us. They raised more for us in 1 year than we pay in dues in 10 years. And so it's worth the 1 cent a dollar that we pay in our dues for what they do for us. And so that's great. And yeah, it's helping people right here, people that you and I may never meet, or it may be some people that we do know, some neighbors, people from our work. So you never know when someone's going to have a house fire, when someone's going to need a United Way agency. People don't wake up and say, oh, I think I'll need a United Way agency today. Nobody's ever thought that, ever.
So the derby pie is in the oven. How long are we waiting for?
Normally about 40 minutes, but every oven is different. So I set my timer for 35 minutes, even though I've made hundreds of these, because I don't want to risk that for some reason it cooked in 35 instead of 40. But usually 40, 42 even. It just varies every time I bake one. But 350 degrees, and set your timer for 35 minutes, and then keep baking till it looks like this. You don't want it to jiggle, because that means it's going to be really runny when you cut it. And we don't want a runny derby pie.
I am so excited to give this a taste. But before we give it a taste, share some of the goals of the Wiregrass United Way for 2024? I know that you all are already planning. What's in store?
Well, we have been very intentional about long-range planning. So we finished a strategic plan this year, the first real strategic plan in my career with United Way, thanks to Wiregrass Foundation funding a consultant to help us and walk us through that whole process. Our board approved it earlier this year. And so we have lots of plans. We're doing a lot more marketing and some very direct, intentional plans rather than just calling our friends across the street at WTVY, hey, we need to be on live at lunch tomorrow. You know, we have an event coming up. And then doing, really making a plan. And then we've got great plans ahead. And we played around with some of it in 23 and already saw good results and are going to keep doing that. And then really just keep reaching new people, because some people will tell me, everybody knows everything about United Way. I meet people all the time. I met somebody in line at a book signing at Downtown Books this year that said, now, I've heard of United Way, but what do y'all do? She's lived here her whole life.
Yeah, yes, of course. So tell me real quick, how can people get involved and how can people donate to help you all meet that goal?
Well, the best is to go to WUW.org, and if they remember, they can do /give, and you can give that way online immediately. You can contact us and say you want to make a pledge and pay it later. You don't have to pay it right now, because we're going to pay our agencies throughout 2024. So we literally we're getting donations in the hand now, but we get a lot of pledges that will come in throughout 2024.
All right, sounds good. So join the Wiregrass United Way mission for next year, earlier if not possible, and stick with them. I'm going to have to try this Derby pie. Let's give it a taste. I've never had a Derby pie before. This is going to be my first bite ever.
All right.
So my standards are high.
You'll be ready for a trip to Kentucky now and try out every Derby pie.
Yes, I am ready to roll.
I've always wondered if it's like pecan pies, because you go to 3 southern restaurants and order pecan pie, they can be a little different. Whole pecans, cut pecans, dark Karo syrup, light Karo syrup. I like all of them, but So I wonder if Derby pie is the same across Kentucky, because that's where it was made famous. That's where I got the recipe when I judged Miss Kentucky about 28 years ago in a cookbook they gave the judges each one. So it is a real Kentucky Derby recipe.
It is delicious. It is so good. Walter, thank you so much for allowing us in your diner today and, of course, sharing the success of Wiregrass United Way.
Absolutely. Thank you for this, but also for what TVY has done and helped us with throughout the campaign and throughout the year.